All right, so we're going to finish reading chapter 1. It's just going to be paragraphs 6 and 7. So, chapter 5 just talked about how a lot of slave owners have slaves who are their own children. And that's going to continue into paragraph 6. He says, I know of such cases, and it is worthy of remark that such slaves invariably suffer greater hardships and have more to contend with than others. I'm going to pause and just talk about that for a second. So I think this is, again, one of those myths that he's trying to say is wrong, that these slave masters who most likely are raping these slave women and then have children with them, they're not treating those slaves well. If anything, he is saying they suffer greater hardships. Okay, I'm going to start reading again. And he's explaining why. So he says, they are in the first place a constant offense to their mistress. So remember, the mistress is the wife of the master. So think about, why would she be mad, or why would she hate this child? So she is ever disposed to find fault with them. They can seldom do anything to please her. She is never better pleased than when she sees them under the lash, especially when she suspects her husband of showing his mulatto children favor which he withholds from his black slaves. The master is frequently compelled to sell this class of slaves out of deference to the feelings of his white wife. And, cruel as the deed may strike anyone to be, for a man to sell his own children to human fleshmongers, it is often the dictate of humanity for him to do so. For unless he does this, he must not only whip them himself, but must stand by and see one white son tie up his brother, of but few shades darker complexion than himself, and ply the gory lash to his naked back. And if he lisp one word of disapproval, it is set down to his parental partiality, and only makes the bad matter worse, both for himself and the slave whom he would protect and defend. So paragraph 6 is kind of a doozy, right? This is again talking about destroying family bonds. So take a second, think about the paragraph. What is he saying about, these brothers, these fathers? If it's true that his master is his father, and we'll learn in the next chapter that he had children, those are Frederick Douglass's brothers and sisters. And how did they treat him? All right, chapter 7. Every year brings with it multitudes of this class of slave. So this class of slave that he's talking about are the children of slave owners. So this half white and half black mix of slaves. It was doubtless in consequence of a knowledge of this fact that one great statesman of the South predicted the downfall of slavery by the inevitable laws of population. Whether this prophecy is ever fulfilled or not, it is nevertheless plain that a very different looking class of people are springing up at the South and are now held in slavery from those originally brought to the country from Africa. So he says it's a different looking slave now than it was generations ago. So what is he saying is the difference between the looks of them and why? I'm going to continue reading. He says, and if their increase do no other good. So if the increase of these mix of white and black slaves like himself do no other good, it will do away the force of the argument that God cursed Ham, and therefore American slavery is right. If the lineal descendants of Ham are alone to be scripturally enslaved, it is certain that slavery at the South must soon become unscriptural. For thousands are ushered into this world annually who, like myself, owe their existence to white fathers, and those fathers, most frequently, their own masters. So, what is this paragraph saying about that kind of defense of slavery that Christians had, that God cursed Ham and therefore, it's fine that blacks are enslaved? So here are the questions that I want you to think about as you read. What were your first impressions of his style? What did you think was his intention in writing this, and who is his audience? Given what you believe his intention is, do you think he's doing a good job? Which lines stood out to you the most? And what do you think was unclear? If you have any questions, post them at the bottom and I will answer them. I will respond to anything that you write. Please make sure that next you are going on to the discussion post and you are doing the 2 quotes. You put what paragraph they're in if you want. But mostly I want you have to make sure that you're saying which theme, motif, rhetorical device, whatever is being used in those 2 quotes. And then for extra credit, you can record yourself on Flipgrid saying what you believe is the most impactful line of chapter 1. Have a great day, guys.